Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the Indian Yarnivore. Today I've got a very exciting yarn for you. Now this is not exactly a yarn that's manufactured in India. This is the company Icyans, and if you're a yarnivore like me, I'm sure you've seen tons and tons of videos and reviews on this yarn. Now I purchased my Icyans from magicneedles.com. There are a couple of other sites in India that also deliver this yarn, but Magic Needles has I think the widest collection of ice yarn on an Indian website. This particular yarn cake is called the Cakes Aran. I first heard of the Ice Yarns company from a crochet blogger. She's called the Secret Yarnery, and she's a huge fan of ice yarns, and she is based out of Kenya, but she gets ice yarns delivered. So this is a yarn company that's based in Turkey, and believe me when I say that their website is called yarnparadise.com, I guess, yeah, or iceyarns.com, and they have the most amazing collection of yarns. I don't even have words to describe the variety, the colors, and for someone like me, I just love self-striping yarn, or the really beautifully designed yarns. And unfortunately in India we don't really have a very great selection of those. So this is a particular type of yarn cake that is called Cakes Aran. Now let's take a look at the yarn label. So like I said, the company is called Icyans and the yarn is made in Turkey. So as we can see, it says do not bleach. It says you can wash it in water up to 30 degrees Celsius. This is 100% acrylic yarn, so of course there is no ironing of this yarn. Let's see what other information is there on the yarn band. So the content is 100% acrylic. The name you can see is Cakes Aran. One cake consists of 200 grams, and I think I paid about rupees 565 is my guess for this 200 grams of yarn, which comes to about 360 meters. So it suggests knitting needles of a US size 6 to 8, and it is a 4 weight medium Aran weight yarn. It gives you a color shade, which is this number that is given, that is 56549. Let's see if there's any other useful information. I don't think so. So if you look at this particular cake, you can see that it has 1 2 3 4 5 shades of colors in this. So another tip, or maybe like an idea that I have, is if they are just solid colors being put together in a cake, you can very well just get the plain colors and use them in your project in whichever pattern you want. I usually purchase a cake yarn which is self-striping only if the yarn is patterned, and I cannot achieve that same effect just by mixing plain colors of yarn. Now if I take a closer look at the yarn thread, you can see that it is several plies being loosely bound together. So the plus side of this is that you're going to get a very soft yarn, and the minus is that this is going to be easy to split unless you pull the yarn tight between your fingers, achieve a greater tension so that the yarn acts more like a single thread. Now if you look at the way this yarn is dyed, you can see that the effect is not very opaque, especially for this color that you see. Now if you look at the different colors, you can see that the red is again the same. You can see that there is a slight kind of, you can't say stone washed, but there is that effect when the color is not very opaque. That's a red. You have this beautiful brick brown, or is this like a maroon. Then you have this beautiful golden shade, and you have this pink, and lastly you have this purple, a dull purple sort of thing. So now this is the effect that the yarn is dyed in, right? So I don't really mind. It's not like it's a it's a defect. So if I talk about the feel of the yarn, which is one of the most important things according to me, it is very, very soft. There is no irritation whatsoever, and you can very well make hats, scarves, or other wearables out of this. Now let me show you the project that I made out of this yarn. This is the project that I started making out of this yarn. I was thinking of making an Afghan, and the tutorial that I was using was the Study of Ombre Afghan by the Crochet Crowd. So they also have lots of beautiful tutorials, quite easy to follow, very interesting patterns. I started making this with that, but the fact was that the pattern, it has a lot of complex stitches. I can't say that the stitches are complex, the design is complex, stitches are pretty much simple. So it has these beautiful effects, and you can see that this kind of a yarn, it really brings out the texture of the stitches. Let me show you a closer look. So you can see that these bobbles very much stand out. You have this sort of wave like pattern here that also stands out, and you can see that each of the stitches are also pretty well defined. You have just some simple double crochets here which are very well defined. Now I don't know whether it's because of the color combination. I was not really liking the way it was looking after a certain point, so I just decided to square off this pattern. Just made a simple square out of this design till here. I think it was till here, yeah. So I made a square out of it, and I decided to turn this into a cushion cover. So this has it has nothing to do with the yarn, which is perfect. I think so far the project looks good, but the Study of Ombre, I think Mikey from the Crochet Crowd, he was using a beautiful ombre yarn. Maybe the pattern looks a bit smoother in that. I tried to make sure that the color was changing at at the ends of the round, so that you didn't have a sort of weird look at any point, because there was an abrupt color transition. So I'm not sure how you like the look of this, but I like the look of this. And I think for projects like this, where you have defined rounds, or you want to make some part of the pattern stand out in a different color, this sort of a yarn with different colors put together in a very original way, I think it looks pretty nice. And you can see that the drape of this is also really good. Now of course that has to do with the size of hook also that I used. I was trying to fetch the crochet hook that I had used, so I used my 6mm crochet hook. Now the fact is, you can get away with using a smaller hook size like a 5.5 or a 5, because it is after all a 4-weight yarn, but it is on the thicker side of a 4-weight yarn. That's one point. And the other thing is, what I learned from watching crochet tutorials is, I have a tighter tension, so my fabric looks pretty stiff if I use a 5mm hook for a 4-weight yarn. So if I want something that is drapier, and since I started it out as a plan for an Afghan, if I want something that is drapier, I have to use a larger sized hook. That's why I use the 6mm. But if you are somebody who crochets very loosely, you can get away with using a 5.5 or a 5. I'm also going to put up on the screen all the different colorways that they have for this yarn, and I really have to say it's a beautiful color choice. I've made another blanket also with one of the other colorways. I'll put up a picture of that also for you to see. So I love the color combinations. Now if you ask me whether this yarn is worth the price that I paid for it, I think yes. One, because the yarn itself, you're getting a beautiful 4-weight yarn, and I love 4-weight yarns. Two, the quality of the yarn is really good. I can tell from the look of the fibers that there's not going to be a lot of pilling of this fiber, even if I wash the project that I'm making. And three, because the feel of the yarn is really soft, it's very pleasant to the touch, very squishy, like you can see. Four, because there's like I said, a lot of beautiful colorways. So if you ask me, yes, it is on the pricier side of yarns that are available, about $565 or so for about 200 grams of yarn. But taking these factors into account, I think I would pay the same price if I was to get such a beautiful yarn again. So I hope you liked this review of the Icyans Cakes Aran. If any of you tries out this yarn, do let me know in the comments below how you found it. Bye.